Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Christmas 2020 countdown. Today we're tying a dark green Highlander Rocker style. First of all, I have to apologise for wearing the dark t-shirt. I know it's going to be quite difficult to see the dark overwing on this fly, but you should be able to see it clearly towards the end. We're starting off with a Opossum dip dyed underwing. This is yellow with hot orange tips. You want to try and tie it as close to the metal bead as possible so that the materials flare upwards. This is going to help the fly have a really nice action in the water, particularly fast water. Try and trim away as much of the waist as possible just so that you can reduce the size of the head on the fly. It also makes it a lot easier to tie in your other materials. Next, I'm adding a mid-wing of hot orange Tanuki. Again, we're tying as close as we can all the way up to the edge of the bead and trim away the waist as close as possible. Next, I'm adding a soft hen hackle in Sunburst. Just a couple of wraps. Just taking our time, making sure that we wrap each turn as tight and as close as possible to the rest of the materials and not to overlap any of the barbs on the hackle. When you feel the stem is secure, just add a couple more tighter wraps to make sure everything is nice and in place. Next is an overwing of Silver Fox dyed in Green Highlander. These have natural black tips and is going to be the longest wing on this fly. As you can see, because the tips are black, you're losing them against my t-shirt now, but you will see it towards the end. As close as possible, same as before, and trim away the waist. Just taking time to neaten up the head area. Next, I'm adding another soft hackle, this time Chartreuse. Same as before, we're trying to get as close to the other materials as possible. Just a couple more turns to make sure everything is locked into place. Now you're probably thinking it looks a bit wild at the moment, but I promise it will. There is a purpose. Next, I'm adding in some long strands of fluorescent flash. It's not really like any other flash I've used before. This one is like, they look more like feelers. But these are quite rigid and bouncy. You can shape them with your scissors, but I use them to just add a little bit of vibration. They work quite well if you tie them in long and short, so I'm just doing one doubled back long and then one doubled back short on the sides. And you'll see that they naturally want to kick out. And this is where it works great if you're using them in a faster current, because they will push up against these materials. Just taking time to shape them with the scissors to make sure that they sit nicely with the fly. But to be completely honest, having them a little bit wild is probably the best thing for it anyway. Now I'm adding a short overwing of Shadow Fox pelt. This is just to help finish off the bulk around the head of the fly again, so that it has the nice push of water to move those longer materials at the back of the fly. I know what you're thinking, it doesn't look that great, but one, jungle cocks always help. But two, the whole point of the reason why I tie flies like this is so that all of the materials are kicked out, so that you can fish them in faster waters, and the materials are always trying to return back to their main position. But when they have a fast current pushing against them, everything sort of vibrates and moves in a really cool way. I'm just lining up the jungle cock so that they follow the line of the wing. I like to put them in matched either side so that they're curving in an arc with the wing as well. Just taking time to trim away the stems as close as possible. That's starting to look more like it now. As you can see, the head is a little bit bulkier than I would have liked, but finishing off with a little bit of super glue and pressing the glue into the thread and the materials, a couple more turns of thread is usually more than solid enough for me to be happy to fish with it. So just take my time to make sure that I get the shapes that I want and then push the remaining glue in. You can see there's a little bit of a knuckle there, but I'm going to cut that off with my scissors shortly. So we're just going to trim through the edge of the head there to get rid of that knuckle and just clean up any excess. If you had time and you wanted to make them a little bit prettier, you can always use a bit of the coloured varnish, like a Chartreuse varnish, to go with the thread, or just a bit of clear varnish would do. But to be honest, I prefer it this way anyway. So let's see if we can get this looking nice. Let's see if I can show this to you properly so that you can see how the fly really looks. Let's give it a brush through. There we go. Now you can see it how it should be. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all very soon. Tight lines.